Marcus was an ordinary student at Riverdale University. He was 19 years old, quiet in class, and always sat near the back of the lecture hall. He was smart but did not always believe in himself. Most of the time, Marcus kept his head down, finishing his assignments with long hours in the library. He liked technology, but he never thought he was special. One Tuesday morning, everything began to change. Marcus walked into Professor Howard's classroom. The professor was known for being strict but fair. He always pushed students to do better than they thought possible. That day, the professor walked to the board, turned to the students, and said with a sharp voice, "I have a challenge for all of you." The room went silent. Professor Howard wrote in big letters on the board, "Final project." He looked around the class and said, "This project will decide 30% of your grade. You must choose one of three topics: the future of energy, the role of artificial intelligence in society, or the history of digital communication. You will write a paper, at least 15 pages, with clear research and your own ideas." Students began to whisper. 15 pages sounded like a mountain. Then the professor added something unusual. He looked directly at Marcus, who was sitting in the back, and said, "Marcus, I dare you to use AI for this project. Many students think using AI means taking shortcuts. I want to see if you can use it in a way that shows true learning." The class turned their heads toward Marcus. Some laughed softly. Others raised their eyebrows. Marcus felt heat on his face. He had never been called out like that before. Marcus raised his hand carefully. "Professor, do you mean you want me to use AI to write the whole paper?" he asked. Professor Howard shook his head. "No, I want you to use it as a tool. But the final work must still be yours. If you only copy and paste, you will fail. If you show me something new, something the world has not seen, then you will succeed." Marcus nodded slowly. He could feel the weight of the challenge. It was not just about a grade anymore. The professor was testing him in front of everyone. After class, Marcus packed his bag while two students, Anna and David, walked over to him. Anna smiled kindly and said, "That was bold of the professor. Do you really think you can do it?" Marcus shrugged. "I don't know. I've never used AI for something this big. But I guess I don't have a choice now." David laughed. "Well, if you fail, at least it will be entertaining for the rest of us." Marcus walked out of the building with mixed feelings. He felt nervous, but there was also a spark of excitement deep inside him. For the first time, someone expected him to do something different, something more than average. That night, Marcus sat at his small desk in his dorm room. He opened his laptop and searched for different AI tools. He saw names he had heard before but never tried seriously. He read about how people used AI for art, writing, and even music. Some people feared it. Others said it was the future. Marcus whispered to himself, "If I am going to do this, I can't just let AI write the paper. I have to make it my own. I have to do something no one expects." He began brainstorming. The three topics circled in his head: future of energy, role of AI in society, history of digital communication. The second one seemed to call to him. It was connected to the challenge itself. If he could write about the role of AI by using AI, maybe he could create something powerful. The hours passed as Marcus tested small prompts, asking AI simple questions. The answers were fast, sometimes useful, sometimes boring. But Marcus noticed that when he asked better questions, he got better answers. He realized it was not about letting the machine think for him. It was about guiding it, like a partner. By midnight, Marcus had a rough outline. He wanted his project to be more than a paper. He wanted to create something interactive, something that could show the class how humans and AI could work together. He imagined a paper that linked to a program, where readers could ask questions themselves. The idea scared him. It was ambitious, and he did not know if he could pull it off. But the words of the professor echoed in his mind, "If you show me something new, something the world has not seen, then you will succeed." Marcus closed his laptop and leaned back in his chair. For the first time, he smiled with determination. He was no longer just a quiet student at the back of the room. He was someone with a mission. Outside, the campus lights glowed faintly in the night. Marcus felt that his life was about to change in ways he could not yet imagine. The dare was more than homework. It was the beginning of a journey that might take him beyond the classroom, beyond the university, and maybe even beyond the internet itself. The next morning, Marcus woke up early. The sun had not fully risen, and the campus was still quiet. He washed his face, grabbed a notebook, and sat at his desk again. He kept thinking about the challenge. The professor's eyes, the laughter of his classmates, and Anna's gentle question replayed in his mind. He opened his laptop and looked at the outline he had made the night before. It was messy, full of scattered notes and half-formed ideas. Still, he felt proud of it. It was a starting point. Marcus decided he needed guidance. He went to the library after breakfast. The library was a huge building with tall windows and wooden tables. Most students came there only during exams, but Marcus liked the quiet. He found a seat near the corner and connected his laptop to the Wi-Fi. He whispered to himself, "If I am going to do this right, I have to think like both a student and a creator." He started by reading research papers about AI. Some spoke about how machines could replace jobs. Others explained how AI could help doctors save lives, engineers design cities, and artists paint new styles of art. Marcus wrote notes in his notebook, but he knew the professor would not be impressed by facts alone. The professor wanted something new. At lunchtime, Marcus was still buried in his work when Anna appeared beside his table. She carried a tray with a sandwich and juice. "You've been here since morning?" she asked with a smile. Marcus nodded. "I have to figure out how to use AI in a way that doesn't look lazy. I want it to mean something." Anna sat down across from him. "Maybe you should think about your own story with AI. You never used it much before, right? You could show how learning to use it changes you." Her words made Marcus pause. He had been thinking about AI as something outside of himself, but maybe the project could connect to his own journey. A mix of human experience and machine support. He scribbled on his notebook, "Personal story plus AI equals new perspective." Later that evening, Marcus began experimenting. He asked the AI to write simple explanations of difficult concepts, like neural networks or machine learning. Then, he rewrote those answers in his own words, adding examples from daily life. When the AI explained algorithms, Marcus compared it to how a cook follows recipes but can change ingredients to make something new. The more he worked, the more he realized he was learning faster than before. It was not about copying answers. It was about using the AI as a teacher, a partner that never grew tired of his questions. By midnight, Marcus had something surprising. He had built the first 3 pages of his project, but instead of plain text, he had added small interactive parts. For example, one section let the reader click a link to ask the AI the same question he had asked. The answer would appear instantly, showing the difference between raw AI output and Marcus's rewritten version. He leaned back, staring at the screen. "This could actually work," he whispered. The next day, Marcus attended class again. Professor Howard began by reviewing other assignments, and Marcus kept quiet, hiding his excitement. When class ended, he stayed behind. "Professor," Marcus said, walking to the desk. "I started working on the project. I think I might take a different approach than usual." Howard looked at him with sharp eyes. "Different how?" Marcus hesitated, not wanting to reveal too much too soon. "I want to show how AI can be used as a partner in learning, not just a machine that spits answers. I want to make the project interactive. For a moment, the professor's face did not change. Then, slowly, he gave a small smile. That sounds ambitious. But be careful. If it becomes a trick or a gimmick, you will fail. Make sure it teaches, not just entertains. Yes, Professor, Marcus replied firmly. Walking out of the classroom, Marcus felt a rush of determination. For once, he was not scared of failing. He felt like he was chasing something bigger. That evening, when Marcus returned to his dorm, he found David waiting by the door. David smirked and asked, "So, genius, how's your AI adventure? Already broken the system?" Marcus laughed softly. "Not yet. But I think I might be onto something." David shook his head. "Man, I just hope you don't embarrass yourself in front of the whole class." Marcus didn't answer. He simply unlocked his door and stepped inside. Once alone, he sat at his desk, opened his laptop, and continued building. As days passed, Marcus spent less time hanging out with others and more time refining his project. He added visuals, graphs, and stories that linked human experience with AI support. Each page became a mix of knowledge, creativity, and technology. But he knew something was missing. His work was strong, but not strong enough to break the internet, as people would later call it. He needed one last idea, one spark that would make his project unforgettable. And that spark was about to come, in the most unexpected way. Marcus sat at his desk late into the night, his lamp shining weakly over the piles of papers and open books. His project was coming together piece by piece, but he still felt something was missing. It was good, yes, but not yet powerful. He wanted it to surprise the professor, impress his classmates, maybe even inspire them. As he leaned back, staring at the ceiling, a message popped up on his laptop. It was Anna. "Still working?" she wrote. Marcus typed back quickly, "Yes. I'm close, but I need something special. Something that shows how AI is not just a tool, but a bridge between people." After a pause, Anna replied, "What if you let the AI speak with your own voice? Like, make it tell your story, not just give facts." Marcus froze, his eyes wide. That was it. The spark he needed. He could build a system where the AI didn't just answer questions. It could explain his own journey, his doubts, his discoveries, his growth, almost like a digital reflection of himself. Excited, Marcus opened a new file and began experimenting. He fed the AI small parts of his notes, his thoughts, even the way he had felt when the professor challenged him. Then he asked the AI to rewrite them as if it were Marcus himself, speaking in his tone. The result was shocking. On the screen, lines of text appeared that sounded like Marcus's own voice, only clearer, sharper, more confident. He whispered, "This is it. This is what I was missing." For the next several days, Marcus worked non-stop. He barely left his room except for quick meals and classes. His roommates joked that he had become part of his computer. But Marcus did not care. He was building something no student had ever tried before. The project grew into 3 layers. The first layer was the research, strong and detailed. The second was the rewritten explanations, showing Marcus's personal understanding. The third layer was the interactive AI that could speak as Marcus, sharing his learning journey in real time. When Anna visited one evening, Marcus showed her a demo. He typed into the program, "What did you feel when the professor dared you?" The screen lit up. At first, I felt embarrassed. Everyone was looking at me. But then I realized it was a chance to prove myself. It scared me, but also made me curious. I wanted to know what I could do if I tried. Anna leaned forward, her eyes wide. "It's like it's you talking directly to the reader." Marcus smiled for the first time in days. Exactly. This way, the project is alive. It's not just a paper, it's an experience. Anna shook her head in amazement. Marcus, if you finish this, it's going to be huge. The pressure grew heavier as the deadline drew closer. Marcus stayed up late, testing and fixing errors. Sometimes the AI said things that sounded wrong or too robotic. He had to carefully guide it, feeding it more of his own words so that it reflected his real thoughts. It was exhausting, but Marcus felt like he was training a new voice, one that could speak alongside him. On the final night before submission, Marcus sat in silence, his project complete. He looked at the glowing screen, 15 pages of research, rewritten explanations, and links leading to the interactive AI system. He felt nervous, but proud. For the first time, he saw his work not just as homework, but as something bigger. The next morning, Marcus walked into class with his laptop in his bag and a printed copy of the paper in his hand. The classroom buzzed with students whispering about their projects. Some had posters, some had binders full of notes. Marcus kept his head down, trying not to show his shaking hands. When it was his turn, he stood at the front. His voice was quiet at first, but it grew stronger as he spoke. My project is about the role of AI in society. I decided to not only write about it, but to show it in action. He clicked a button on his laptop, and the projector lit up. On the big screen, his interactive program appeared. He typed the first question, what does it mean to learn with AI? The AI answered in Marcus's own style, it means I am never alone in the process. I ask, it answers. I think, it helps me think better. It does not replace me, it works with me. The room went silent. Marcus turned to the class. This is not just AI giving answers. It is trained with my own words, my own reflections. It is my journey of learning, told back to you in real time. The students leaned forward, some whispering in surprise. Even David, who had teased him before, looked stunned. Anna watched with a proud smile. Professor Howard crossed his arms, his face unreadable. He said nothing as Marcus continued his demonstration. The AI explained concepts with simple examples, compared human creativity to machine support, and even shared Marcus's own doubts and hopes. When Marcus finished, the class erupted in applause. Some students clapped loudly, others simply shook their heads in disbelief. For a moment, Marcus stood there frozen. He had never been in the center of so much attention. Finally, Professor Howard spoke. His voice was calm but carried weight. Marcus, I asked you to show me something new. You have gone far beyond that. This is not just homework. This is innovation. Marcus felt his heart race. For the first time, he believed he had done something truly special. But what he did not know was that this moment was only the beginning. Soon, his project would leave the classroom and travel far beyond the walls of Riverdale University. The next day, Marcus walked across campus with a strange feeling in his chest. Everywhere he went, students seemed to whisper his name. Some stopped him in the hallway just to say, that was amazing, or how did you even think of that? Marcus had never been the center of attention before. He was used to being quiet, blending into the back of the class. Now, it felt like the whole school had seen him in a new light. In the cafeteria, David came over with his usual grin, but this time it was softer. Marcus, I'll admit it. I thought you were going to fail. But man, you crushed it. I've never seen anything like that. Marcus chuckled nervously. Thanks, David. I just wanted to prove I could do more. Anna, who sat beside him, added, you didn't just do more. You showed everyone what's possible. You made AI feel human. Marcus smiled, though he still felt unsure. Deep inside, he wondered if people were impressed by the project itself or just surprised that he, the quiet student in the back, had pulled it off. That evening, Professor Howard called Marcus to his office. The professor's office was filled with books and old papers, the air heavy with the smell of ink and dust. Howard gestured for Marcus to sit. "Marcus," he began, "your project is one of the most original submissions I have seen in all my years of teaching. But something unusual has happened." Marcus tilted his head. "Unusual?" The professor leaned forward. "I uploaded a small sample of your work into the university's digital archive. It was supposed to stay within our system, but somehow, it spread online. And now people are talking about it?" Marcus blinked in shock. "Online? You mean, outside the university?" Howard nodded. "Yes. Blogs are picking it up. Some say it's an example of how students can use AI responsibly. Others are debating whether this is the future of education. Your work is sparking conversation." Marcus's heart pounded. He had imagined impressing his professor and classmates, but he never thought his project would travel beyond the classroom. "Is that bad?" Marcus asked carefully. Howard gave a small smile. "Not at all. It means your work has power. But it also means you must be careful. Once ideas leave your hands, you cannot control how they grow." Marcus walked out of the office with his mind spinning. His project, something he had made in the quiet of his dorm room, was now in the hands of strangers across the internet. That night, he searched online. To his shock, he found posts about his project on forums and social media. People were sharing screenshots of the interactive program, discussing how it gave students a new way to learn. Some called Marcus a genius. Others warned that students might misuse AI if they copied without thinking. Marcus scrolled through the comments for hours, feeling a mix of pride and fear. He whispered to himself, "I just wanted to finish my homework. I didn't mean for this to go so far." The next morning, things grew even stranger. When Marcus arrived at class, a group of students crowded around him. One said, "Marcus, can you show us how you built it?" Another asked, "Do you think we can make something similar for our projects?" Marcus realized that his work had inspired curiosity, but it also created expectations. People wanted to learn from him, maybe even rely on him. For someone who had spent most of his life unnoticed, it was overwhelming. Later that week, a journalist reached out through the university. She wanted to interview Marcus about his project. The professor encouraged him to accept. Sitting in front of a small recorder, Marcus explained his journey to the journalist. He spoke about the professor's dare, his nights in the library, his experiments, and the spark of inspiration that came from Anna's advice. He explained that AI should not be feared, nor should it be abused. It should be used to expand human thinking, not replace it. When the article was published, it spread quickly. Headlines read, "Student redefines homework with AI and the future of learning is here." Marcus's phone buzzed constantly with messages. Some were from people he knew, congratulating him. Others were from complete strangers asking questions. His email filled with invitations from schools, clubs, and even companies that wanted him to speak about his work. At first, Marcus felt excited. But soon, the weight of attention began to press on him. He was still just a student. He had only created one project. What if people expected too much from him? What if he failed the next time? One evening, Marcus sat in the library again, his laptop closed, his notebook empty. Anna found him staring at the blank page. "Are you all right?" she asked gently. Marcus sighed. "I don't know. Everyone thinks I'm some kind of expert now. But I was just trying to pass an assignment. What if I can't live up to all this?" Anna placed her hand on the table. "Marcus, people see something in you because you showed courage. You tried something new when others wouldn't. That's why they listen. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to keep learning." Her words calmed him. He realized she was right. The project wasn't the end of his journey, it was the beginning. If people wanted to hear from him, then maybe he could use the attention to guide them in the right direction, to show that AI and human creativity could work together for good. Marcus sat up straighter, a quiet determination returning to his eyes. He whispered, "Then I'll keep going. I'll make sure this means something." What Marcus did not know was that his decision to keep going would soon lead to something far bigger than interviews or articles. His project was about to attract attention from places he never imagined. A week later, Marcus's life no longer felt normal. His mornings were filled with emails, his afternoons with phone calls, and his evenings with messages from strangers who had read about him. Students from other universities wanted to know how he built his project. Teachers wanted to test it in their classrooms. Some people even asked if he would sell it as software. Marcus often sat in his dorm room staring at the screen, unsure of how to answer. He was still the same student who once sat quietly at the back of class. Now people treated him like a leader in a field he had only just begun to explore. One afternoon, Professor Howard stopped Marcus after class. "Marcus, there is something you should know. A conference on education technology has invited you to present your project. It will be held in the city next month. I think you should go." Marcus blinked in surprise. "A conference? But I'm just a student." Howard gave him a steady look. "Yes, but you are also the one who started a conversation that spread across the internet. That makes you important to this moment. Do not underestimate what you have done." The thought of standing on a stage in front of experts made Marcus nervous. But he knew he could not turn down the opportunity. He nodded slowly. "All right, Professor. I'll do it." News of Marcus's invitation spread quickly around campus. Some students cheered him on. Others looked jealous. David patted him on the back and said, "Guess you're famous now. Don't forget us when you're on TV." Anna, however, gave him quiet encouragement. "Marcus, this is your chance to show people what you believe. Don't focus on impressing them. Just be honest." Over the next weeks, Marcus worked hard to prepare. He refined his project, fixing small errors and making the program easier to use. He practiced his speech late at night, talking to the mirror or to Anna when she visited. Each time, he grew a little more confident. Finally, the day of the conference arrived. Marcus traveled to the city with Professor Howard and a small group of students. The conference hall was enormous, filled with teachers, researchers, and business leaders from around the world. Large screens flashed titles like "Future of Education and Technology in the Classroom." When Marcus's name appeared on the program, he felt his stomach twist. He walked to the stage, carrying only his laptop. The bright lights blinded him for a moment, and he could hear the soft murmur of hundreds of people waiting. Taking a deep breath, Marcus began. "My name is Marcus. A few weeks ago, my professor challenged me to use AI for a homework project. At first, I thought it was impossible. But then I realized AI is not here to replace us. It is here to work with us." He opened his laptop and showed the program on the big screen. Just as he had done in class, he asked the AI a question, and it answered in his own voice and style. The audience leaned forward, curious. Some whispered, others nodded. "This project," Marcus continued, "is not perfect. But it shows something important. AI is not only a machine that gives answers. It can be a mirror that helps us see our own thoughts more clearly. It can be a bridge between knowledge and creativity." When he finished, the room erupted with applause. Reporters rushed forward, taking notes and snapping photos. A panel of experts praised his work, calling it a glimpse of the future of learning. That night, Marcus's name began trending online. Clips of his presentation spread across social media, shared by educators, students, and even tech leaders. Some called him the student who broke the limits of homework. Others described him as proof that young voices can shape the future. Marcus sat in his hotel room with Anna and Professor Howard, scrolling through the flood of posts. His hands shook as he whispered, "This is bigger than I imagined." Howard placed a hand on his shoulder. "You see now? Your project is no longer just yours. It belongs to the world." Marcus nodded slowly. The truth of those words sank in. He had started with a dare, but now he carried something far larger. People were listening, watching, expecting. Back on campus, life became even more unusual. Companies sent invitations for internships. A television station asked for an interview. Students began treating Marcus like a guide, asking for advice on their own projects. Even strangers walking across campus stopped him to say, "Aren't you the one from the internet?" But with the attention came pressure. Marcus worried about losing himself. He often asked, "Am I really ready for all this? Or am I just a student who got lucky?" One evening, Anna found him sitting outside under the night sky, staring at the stars. She sat beside him quietly until he spoke. "Anna, what if I can't keep this up? What if people expect too much?" Anna looked at him calmly. "Marcus, no one can predict the future. But you don't have to be perfect. You only need to stay true to what you started. You showed the world that humans and AI can work together. If you keep learning and sharing honestly, people will keep listening." Her words eased his heart. Marcus realized he did not need to have all the answers. He only needed to keep walking forward. But as he gazed at the night sky, he felt a strange sense that something even bigger was waiting for him. His project had broken through the walls of his classroom, his university, even his city. Now the whole world was watching and the real test was still to come. Marcus's life was no longer quiet. Every morning when he woke up, his phone was filled with messages. Some came from students who wanted to learn from him. Others came from companies offering money to buy his project. Journalists wanted interviews. Tech leaders wanted meetings. It was overwhelming. One Monday morning, Marcus walked to class, but instead of feeling calm, he felt the eyes of everyone on him. Whispers followed him through the hallway. A group of freshmen pointed at him, saying, "That's the guy from the internet." Marcus lowered his head, wishing he could disappear into the crowd like before. Inside the classroom, Professor Howard noticed Marcus's troubled expression. After class, he called him aside. "You look tired, Marcus," the professor said. Marcus sighed. "It's too much. Everyone wants something from me. I don't even know who I am anymore. I was just a student, but now they act like I'm an expert." Howard nodded slowly. "Fame has weight. But remember, you are not required to give everyone what they want. You only need to decide what matters most to you." Marcus thought about those words, but they did not erase his worry. That evening, he sat in his dorm with Anna, who had brought snacks to cheer him up. "You don't look happy," Anna said softly. "I'm not," Marcus admitted. "People online argue about my work. Some say I'm a genius. Others say I'm just lucky, that AI did all the real work. I don't know what to believe anymore." Anna leaned forward. "Marcus, you know the truth. You guided the AI, you shaped the project, you put in the hours. No machine can copy your vision. Don't let strangers steal your belief in yourself." Her words comforted him, but the storm outside kept growing. A week later, Marcus received an email from a large technology company. They offered him a contract and a big payment if he would sell them the rights to his project. At first, Marcus was shocked. The amount of money was more than his family had ever dreamed of. He thought about how it could help pay for college, how it could secure his future. But then doubt crept in. If he sold the project, would it still carry his meaning? Or would it become just another product, lost in a company's hands? Marcus went to Professor Howard for advice. "What should I do, Professor?" Marcus asked. "If I sell, my life will change. But I don't want my work to lose its soul." Howard looked at him carefully. "That is a choice only you can make. But remember, Marcus, ideas are powerful. Once you give them away, they are no longer yours. Ask yourself, do you want wealth, or do you want purpose?" Marcus carried those words with him all night. He stared at the contract on his laptop, the numbers glowing like a trap. Finally, he closed the file without signing. He whispered, "Not yet. This work still belongs to me." The days passed, and the pressure kept growing. News outlets debated his decision. Some praised him for keeping control. Others mocked him for turning down success. Marcus tried to ignore them, but he could feel the weight pressing on his chest. One evening, as he walked across campus, a group of students stopped him. They were excited, carrying laptops and notebooks. "Marcus, we started our own project using your idea," one said. "We're making an AI that helps people learn history in a personal way." Another added, "Your work inspired us. We want to show that students can create too." For the first time in weeks, Marcus felt relief. His project was not just about him anymore. It was spreading, sparking others to dream and build. Later, he shared this moment with Anna. She smiled warmly. "See? This is bigger than money or fame. You've lit a fire in others. That's real success." Marcus nodded slowly. He realized she was right. His work had become more than homework, more than a headline. It was planting seeds in other people's minds. But the storm was not finished. The next morning, Marcus received another message, this time not from a student or a company, but from a government agency. They wanted him to attend a meeting to discuss how his project could be used in national education programs. Marcus stared at the email in shock. This was no longer about one classroom, one university, or even one country. His work had reached the highest levels. He closed his eyes, feeling both fear and excitement. He whispered, "I never asked for this. But maybe this is what I was meant to do." Anna, sitting beside him, touched his arm. "Whatever happens, Marcus, don't forget who you are. Don't let them change you." Marcus nodded, but deep inside he knew the road ahead would not be easy. He was stepping into a world of power, politics, and influence far beyond anything he had imagined when the professor first dared him. The boy who once sat quietly at the back of the classroom was now standing at the edge of something much larger. The internet had carried his project across the world, and now the world was calling back. Marcus sat at his desk staring at the government invitation. His hands trembled slightly as he read the email again. They wanted him to attend a closed-door meeting in the capital city. They said his project had national importance and could reshape education for the next generation. It sounded like an honor, but Marcus knew it also meant pressure. Governments did not call students unless they wanted something big. He felt nervous, but he also knew he could not ignore it. Anna came into the room holding 2 cups of tea. She placed one in front of him and said, "So, what will you do?" "I don't know," Marcus admitted. "If I go, they might take control of my work. If I don't, they'll say I turned down the chance to help the whole country." Anna sat down beside him. "Maybe this is not about what they want. Maybe it's about what you decide your project should become." Her words stayed in his mind all night. The next morning, Marcus packed his bag and boarded a train to the capital. When he arrived, the city was bright with tall glass buildings. A black car waited for him at the station, and 2 officials guided him to a government office. Inside, he met serious-looking men and women in suits. They welcomed him, then asked him to sit at a long table. The meeting began. One official spoke first. "Marcus, your project has drawn worldwide attention. We believe it can be used in schools across the nation. Imagine every child having a personal AI teacher, guiding them at their own pace. We want your help to make this real." Marcus listened quietly. The idea sounded good, but he could feel a hidden weight in their words. If he gave them his project, would they truly use it for education, or would they twist it for other purposes? Another official leaned forward. "With government support, your work can reach millions of children. But we need full access. We cannot do this halfway. Will you allow it?" Marcus's heart raced. He remembered Professor Howard's warning, once you give away an idea, it is no longer yours. He remembered Anna's words, don't let them change you. He took a deep breath and spoke. "I want to help. But my project was not created to belong to one group. It should not be controlled only by a company or a government. It was meant to inspire students everywhere, to show them what is possible. If I give it to you without limits, it will lose its meaning." The officials exchanged looks. One of them frowned. "Marcus, do you understand what you're saying? This is bigger than you. We're offering you influence, security, and resources." Marcus nodded. "I understand. But if I give it all away, I'll lose the very thing that made it powerful." It was never about power or money. It was about hope. There was silence in the room. Finally, one official leaned back and said, "Then what do you propose?" Marcus thought carefully. Then he answered, "I will share my work freely with schools, teachers, and students everywhere. But it will remain open, not locked behind control or profit. I want young people to use it, learn from it, and even improve it. That is my condition." The officials whispered among themselves. Some looked displeased, others thoughtful. At last, they gave a slow nod. "Very well, Marcus. You are stubborn, but perhaps that is why people respect you. We will support your decision." When Marcus left the building that evening, the sky above the city glowed with orange light. He felt both exhausted and relieved. For the first time, he felt certain about his path. News of his choice spread quickly. Headlines appeared: "Student refuses to sell out, keeps AI project free for the world." Social media buzzed with praise. Some critics still mocked him, but Marcus no longer cared. He had found his voice. Back at the university, students gathered to thank him. Many said his decision gave them courage. They too wanted to create without fear of losing their ideas. Marcus felt proud, not because of fame, but because he had stayed true to himself. That night, he sat with Professor Howard in the quiet classroom where it had all begun. The professor smiled. "Well, Marcus, I gave you a dare, and you answered it in a way none of us expected." Marcus chuckled softly. "I didn't know it would turn into this. I thought it was just homework." Howard nodded. "That's the thing about ideas. Sometimes they start small, but when you add courage, they grow beyond imagination." Anna joined them, placing her hand on Marcus's shoulder. "You didn't just break the internet, Marcus. You showed people that technology can serve hope, not just power." Marcus looked at them both and smiled. For the first time since everything began, he felt calm. He was still just a student, but he had proven something important, that even one voice, guided by honesty and courage, could echo across the world. And in that quiet moment, Marcus knew his journey was only beginning.